Hello again, everybody. This is Rob. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Takara Unite Warriors Devastator. Not really a review, I'm just going to be doing like a quick glance over of the new paint apps and some of the other mechanical changes because there are actually a few things that are different between Takara's rendition of Devastator and the Hasbro version that we got in the States earlier this year. So, gonna jump right into it. Here we can see all six of the constructicons. Bring in a little deluxe for scale there. They are pretty big, but you probably already knew that. Okay, so starting with Scavenger here. Now, Scavenger, it's mechanically very similar or the same as the Hasbro version, but he's got some added details such as the paint his pelvis here. Normally it's like a big blotch of red, but he's actually got a little bit of you can kind of see it in there, like a darker paint underneath to kind of make that light pop a little bit more. The chest plate, it's silver just like it is for the Hasbro version, but it's actually silver all the way around, which looks a lot better. I think it's better than having that like unsightly purple ring around the outside. And then he also has silver here and red here instead of both sides being painted red, which I also kind of like that. And this also, I mean, look at the detail in there. That looks like something that should be silver. Not too sure about the vents, if those are new or not, but looks nice all the same. And of course, he's got his weird arcade cabinet face. I mean, it's not bad, but doesn't really do it for me. He does also still have the nice silver piston that the Hasbro version has, and of course his cab, which you'll see in vehicle mode. Another difference here, you can see the arm missile cannon thing. In the Hasbro version, it's just black, like all the way through, and then silver on the front here. But here, you can see they've picked out all the different missile pods in red, which looks really nice. And also, there's this nice little silver strip of detail at the top there. And we'll deal with the actual fist a little bit later. Now, mechanically, I'm not sure if this was an issue in the Hasbro version or not. Scavenger, for me, has kind of loose shoulders. I mean, he can hold this just fine, but this one, he's not gonna. He doesn't want to keep that up. And one other quick thing before I jump into vehicle mode here, you'll notice Scavenger has like an actual honest to goodness blaster, and all the different constructicons have their own weapons in the Takara release, which is really, really nice, and they do actually attach to the vehicles. The only issue I ran into is Long Haul. In my set, he didn't come, like, I didn't get Long Haul's gun. I actually got two guns of Scrappers, which, I mean, he can still hold it. All the Constructicons can hold all the different weapons and Devastator weapon things, but it's just a little disappointing that I didn't get Long Haul's official gun. But what are you going to do? He can still hold the other one. And here we have Scrapper in his vehicle mode, and all the same details as before. You gotta make out the cab a little bit better. Nice tiny Decepticon logo in the front there, and window details pretty much all the way around except in the very back. So it looks good. Now, back to this thing. This gun actually does peg right back here. And this is according to the instructions. You can peg it on the other side or anywhere else you can find a spot for it, really. But on this side of the gun, there's this sort of ammo clip thing. But on this side, you can see there's a peg hole right there. And that will just peg right on top there. It's not a... it seems a little loose, but it's not coming off. It holds. It might actually make more sense to attach it on this side, because that way he's not shooting the cab. All right. And of course the arm moves, rotates, and all that good stuff. Okay. Put him off to the side. And we'll move on to Bonecrusher. Now, the most immediate difference with Bonecrusher is actually a weird... It's kind of weird. Like, all the other robots, all the other Constructicons have more paint in this version over the Hasbro version, except for Bonecrusher. He actually has less. Kind of. What I mean is, the Hasbro Bonecrusher has silver arms painted inside here, and then purple fists, which he does still have the purple fists. He also has this kind of chest area. The background is like painted in silver, and here it's just green. So he actually has a little bit less, but they've actually painted the sides of his treads and legs purple, which is going to be much more important when we get to combination. But yeah, it looks good. I kind of like I don't mind that he has less paint up here, because he still has a decent amount of paint and a decent amount of details, but I love that these aren't just like solid green blocks anymore, because that was kind of bugging me with the pictures that I saw. And he's got the other Devastator fist, which he holds this stuff just fine. And there you can see he's got his own little blaster. And it's kind of pursed lips. Honestly, he's making like the Facebook duck face. That's a little weird. I don't know. He can do what he wants. So let's get him into vehicle mode. We can take a look at some of the other changes. And here we have Bonecrusher in his vehicle mode. And now you can see the detail on these treads a lot better. It looks really good. I like that. Some silver up on vents here. Well, not vents, panels. It's got the windows painted, but again, no painting in the back. But what are you gonna do? There is also a nice little Decepticon logo right on the inside of his bucket there. And the front is painted up there. Not sure exactly how much this detail differs from the Hasbro version. I think this is actually pretty much the same, except for this. Unfortunately, I don't have the Hasbro toys, so I can't really make a direct comparison. Now, his gun also plugs in to his vehicle mode. It attaches in this peg hole right here. And it's also nice that this little divot right in here actually makes space for the handle of his gun. So when we plug this in, you can see it kind of goes. I mean, it's a little loose, but it rests in there, and that's also a nice solid connection, not going anywhere. So that is Bonecrusher. Now let's move on to one of my favorites, Scrapper. Scrapper is also not super different from the Hasbro version. He's got, and oddly, his face is darker than the other Constructicons. I don't know why. Like, it's still silver. You can still kind of see a little bit of that metallic sheen to it, but it's much, much darker, and everyone else's face is a lot more like light silver. I don't know. He's got some nice detail on the chest here. The only difference that I've really been able to figure out is mainly here at the skirt. He's got the alternating colors between the darker silver and the lighter silver instead of like one solid block of silver. Nice silver thighs. Don't take that the wrong way. Some nice details and everything, but ultimately the paint is pretty much the same with some minor differences. And oh, what's this? Well, this is new. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this was almost exclusively why I wanted to get the Takara version over the Hasbro version. All of the Constructicons that have wheels have painted silver rims. And you can see on all sides he's got those really nice looking silver rims, and I love that. It looks so much better than just a solid black piece of plastic. Now, articulation is pretty much the same, except another difference you may have noticed. Scrapper has elbows. He finally has elbows. He also does have some rotation in the bicep, and his wrists can kind of move in and out as part of the transformation, but it's all about these elbows. Now, some people are kind of wondering how this is going to work because his elbows are basically Devastator's right heel. There's actually a very solid click that will snap these elbows in place, and they are not going anywhere. In fact, it's kind of scary popping these elbows out. You have to kind of pull and turn and leverage, and it's like you want to be gentle, but you also kind of need to force it, and then it'll pop out. And he's got elbows. Yes, Scrapper finally has elbows. It is a good day. And he's still got, of course, all the other articulation that he had. Now you can see here, there's his rifle, which will also, again, peg into his vehicle mode. And it's a nice looking gun with holes in it. And this is something that the instructions pointed out that I thought is really cool. Instead of having him wield each of these fins in each hand, because in the Hasbro version he doesn't have a gun, he would use these like swords. But the instructions have him holding them like this in one hand, where it's almost like a bow and arrow, and I think that looks really, really cool. The only issue that I have with this is that you kind of have to fudge it a little bit, because if one side goes in too much, it makes the other side kind of loose, and that can be a little bit annoying. I mean, it's not loose enough that it's going to fall out on its own, but like if you tug on it, it might pop out. Not a huge deal, and it looks really cool. Alright, so let's get him into his vehicle mode. Okay, and here we have Scrapper in his vehicle mode, and he looks really good. I really like how the silver just helps these wheels pop. They also spin really nicely. Alright, so he's got some painted windows around the cab. I'm not sure if these vents were painted in the Hasbro version, but they are here, and they look good. Not anything else in the back, though, but still, the silver on the wheels is really, really nice. One major difference in his detailing is there's no more Decepticon logo on top of his cab, which I actually really like, and I'll get into that more during combination, but it's not there. Instead, it's in the inside front of his bucket, and it looks a lot better, I think. it's still plenty visible when he's in his vehicle mode. You can just see it like right in front there, and you don't have to worry about how ridiculous it looks when he's afoot. Now, this rifle, it's got these two holes. The smaller one, I believe, is the one. Yeah, the smaller one will actually peg into either one of these hole pegs on his back. So you can pick a side, pick an orientation, peg it on there. It's nice and secure. It's not super effective because he is effectively just shooting the arm here, but it's a place to store it. It's it's better than nothing. It's nice that they thought of that. So there is Scrapper. And we'll move on to Mixmaster, probably my least favorite out of the out of the group. I'm just not a huge fan of his overall look. Just this particular design. He's just kind of weird and lanky and has an ant butt. So, coming in on the detail here, you can see some nice detail on the chest. Focus. Focus. There we go. It's nice detail on the chest. And down here, again, I'm not too sure how different this is from the Hasbro release. Sorry. Some more detail down on the feet here, which we'll see more of in vehicle mode. And also more of those lovely silver rims. And on the arms here. One big difference in the paint that I do know of is the fuel cans on the sides of his arms, and by extension the sides of the truck, are purple instead of silver. He also has the nice silver smokestacks, and they painted the funnel in the back of the cement mixer green, so it blends in a little bit better when he's in vehicle mode. He's got the same articulation, although I'm not sure if this is exclusive to the Takara version or not, but he's actually got this extra hinge there where there's like his normal elbow, but then there's a completely different hinge inside there, so it kind of gives him a double elbow. And I don't know if that was in the Hasbro release or not. But whether or not it's there, it's cool. Gives him a little bit more posability. Alright, and oh, yes, there's Devastator's chest piece, which it's the same as the Hasbro version. Some nice details, and there's the big, beautiful Decepticon logo, but nothing's actually different about it. And I neglected to point this out, but the wings that attach to this, that Scrapper hangs onto, they are actually, from what I've been able to tell, exactly the same as well. So no difference there. All right, let's get. Gotta get a closer look at Mixmaster's mug there. Come on. And it's not a bad head sculpt. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not crazy about that weird helmet, but it's some nice paint on the face and everything. Of course, because he's got this giant thing over his head, he can only look left and right, but it is what it is. All right, let's get him into vehicle mode. Okay, I messed up before I before I show off Mixmaster in vehicle mode. Just gonna show off his gun here. It's a nice little pistol. My apologies. I totally spaced on doing that, showing this off while it was in his hand. But it's a good looking gun. All right, so Mixmaster in vehicle mode, and like pretty much everyone else, I'm not super keen on the fact that this is the front and this is the back. It just looks kind of weird. But there are some nice paint details on it. There's the nice silver smokestacks, some nice paint on the vents, not windows. I guess that's, it doesn't have texture on it. I guess that's a window, technically. Some nice silver on the bumper area, whatever this is here with the Decepticon logo. And of course, more of this. I'm I'm not going to stop pointing this out. Just, I'm telling you now. There you can see the purple fuel canisters a little bit better. And coming around to the front, there's the windows. Nice little bit of black paint there for the vent. A little bit of silver on the bumper. And then up here you can see how they painted the funnel to match a little bit better, which I think it looks good. I mean, again, not super crazy about this mode, but the paint detailing I think is really nice. Now for his gun, this is a simple matter of taking one of the tiny pegs, or tiny peg hole there on either side, and attaching that to one of these pegs here. And it doesn't really matter. The instructions tell you to have it pointing out, which is fine. It almost kind of looks like a tailpipe of some kind. Or, I mean, if you want to pretend this is the front, like he's shooting at something. But it stores on there really nice. And this peg is also nice and secure. It's not going to go anywhere. So that is Mixmaster. And I am saving the big guy for last, because I've got some interesting thoughts on him. But we'll move on to Hook. And Hook is Hook. Hook is a Hook. He has some really nice looking details and a really nice paint job on his face. I mean, they all have really nice faces in their own way, at least the paint jobs. There's his torso, which, again, I think there are some minor paint differences here, but for the most part, it's almost identical to the Hasbro version. Silver on the thighs. Now, here's one of the main differences that I've noticed, and that's the shins are actually painted silver, and it's all the way around as well, so there's no like weird place where it just stops. So if you look at it from a certain angle, you can see that there's no paint. In the Hasbro version, this is the same highlighter green as the rest of him. So I think when viewed from a little bit further back, as a whole, that does look really nice. How he's just got one big continuous streak of silver for his legs. It helps to kind of highlight them a little bit better. Articulation's the same. It's got the same funky elbows and also some swivel. I think that was also in the Hasbro version. Ooh. Don't mess with him. And this is a bigger part of Devastator's gun, and that's the same. But he does have his own gun as well, and also, whee! Love those. And it's a good looking gun. And this will attach to his hook when he's in vehicle mode. Going under the back here, you can see some more detail on the cab. These little silver bits, and of course the hook itself, which, from what I can recall, the Hasbro release just has, stop that, just has the end is silver, whereas here they've got like this nice little bit of purple in here, purple here, kind of leading into the silver. It looks good. I mean, I'm not super crazy about Hook in general. Like a lot of people, like I think the third leg is nice for displaying, just keeping them upright, but it kind of gets in the way. But it is what it is. Okay, so that's Hook, and now let's get him into his vehicle mode. Alright, and here we have Hook in his vehicle mode. And he looks good. Like Mixmaster, I'm not super crazy about the design, but it's alright. And I really do like silver wheels. Nothing in the back, unfortunately. But he does have the windows of his cab painted. It's got the nice Decepticon logo. Another window up here. No painted window on the side there, but eh. And of course you can see crane arm again. The only big difference that I've been able to figure out from vehicle mode is I think these headlights are not painted in the Hasbro version, so they kind of stand out a little bit more here. They're just silver though, So like the individual lights in there aren't actually painted. But, what are you gonna do? His gun has these square holes on either side, and that will just attach to this boxy looking peg here. So line that up, and there we go. And now he's got his weapon attached to his crane arm, and that's also a nice secure connection. Okay. Putting hook away for now. And on to long haul. Oh, so many people hating on long haul. Well, first off, get a look at his face, and it's also a really nice head. Silver all the way around. Very reflective silver. He's got the nice Decepticon logo there. Some paint. Whoop. Some paint on what is the cab for the dump truck. The paint on his chest is a little bit different. I don't recall if the headlights are actually painted in the Hasbro version or not, but I know this whole thing was like a big black, like all of these areas here were painted in black as well as the grille. And here it's just the headlight areas that have been picked out as well as the grille, which I think actually looks better. Kind of, gives a little bit more visual diversity. And then these little red lights on the sides have also been painted. Under here, this is actually all purple. Like you can kind of tell in here, it's purple plastic, but they painted it green, which I also think looks nice because when viewed from further away, it looks a little bit more like a nice solid color palette there. This was painted in the Hasbro version, not painted here, which I think is okay because, I mean, it's Devastator. We're all probably going to be displaying him in combined mode more often than not. And, I mean, it's not that, like, you don't really notice that it's missing when you're looking at long haul altogether. Now, his thighs were all silver. I don't remember if these lights were painted or not, but instead we've got, get this out of the way so you can see it a little better. Instead, this panel is painted silver and the rest is green, and I think that actually works better because it just helps kind of bring the look, like it I don't know, I wasn't against the giant silver thighs, but I think it looks a little bit better when it's just like a little bit of a detail that's been picked out. Now, another interesting paint detail that he's got is they actually painted the sides and even the inside, you can kind of see in there, of the wheel well. They painted it black, which it seems like a strange detail, but I actually really like how that looks because it just kind of, I don't know, it adds this nice little bit of dark paint that like breaks up the green around his shoulders and kind of matches the fists, which, yes, his fists are now black instead of purple, which is actually, I like this better because the purple fists in vehicle mode screamed, this is a robot fist, but the black ones, they kind of blend in. You don't really notice them. But anyway, yeah, I like that detail on the shoulders there. Moving over to this part of Devastator's gun. It's also the same as the Hasbro version, but nicely detailed. If it'll, I'm gonna, yes, no, it doesn't want to focus. But it is a nicely detailed gun. And this is where I would be showing off Long Haul's rifle, but as I've said before, I got 2 of Scrapper's gun instead of 1 for Scrapper and 1 for Long Haul. Not a huge deal, but it's a little disappointing. But he holds it just fine. Okay. So let's... oh, wait, nope. I was going to get him into vehicle mode, but I forgot. One of the things that's another big difference here is in the Hasbro version, all Long Haul's arms can do is that. And there is some move up in the shoulders and stuff, but his arms can basically just do that, and that's for transformation. Here, they swivel, and he has an elbow. So he actually has a lot more arm articulation now than in the Hasbro release, which I do really appreciate because I actually like Long Haul. A lot of people don't like his look, but I kind of like the squat, dense, kind of immovable object look that he has going here. And giving him a little bit more posability in the arms is nice because it allows me to get some more interesting poses out of him. Alright, so anyway, let's get him into vehicle mode, and then we can move on to Devastator. Alright, and Long Haul in dump truck mode. He also looks really good, and again, what a nice, just, it's amazing the difference that just some silver paint in the inside of the wheels does. Here you can see the robot fists, which look much more, well, actually they look a lot less noticeable. I mean, you know, they're still, if you look at them from the right angle, they're obviously robot fists, but they actually blend in much better. Still nothing on the back or on the top. And in the front, it's just the grille like before, and you can see a little bit more of the truck cab. Now, unfortunately, because I don't have Long Haul's rifle, I can't actually attach it. But according to the instructions, it's designed so that it actually will attach to this peg on the back of his fist. And it would just sit there as he's driving around. And of course, you can put all the Devastator stuff in his back, which I'm not going to show because there are so many other reviews that do it. But, you know, I mean, I find that with this, I can either peg it onto one of the other Constructicons, or once he's got everything up here, I can just kind of sit it in top, and it's fine. I suppose if you really wanted to, you could do that. A little strange, but it works. Alright, so put Long Haul down here. And here you can see all the Constructicons in their vehicle modes. Looking really nice. And I'm going to put them all together and then probably gush over Devastator for a few minutes. And here we have Takara's Unite Warriors Devastator in all his backdrop revealing glory. And fortunately, I do not have a backdrop big enough to mask all of the rest of the apartment here, but here we have this enormous thing. And I mean, he's big. He's a big guy. I mean, you knew he was a big guy. But I'm gonna come in close here for some more details. You can see the face looks good. The mouth section, it's a little bit darker than the Hasbro version from what I've seen in pictures, but the head has a new feature with this version. You can actually pull this section of his head up, flip up the visor, put that back down, and then you have very much not amused Devastator. Me, I'm going to stick with the CSI Miami look. Let's see, you can see some more nice details in here, all from like the individual bots. Now, one of the things that I really liked, and I was talking about this before with Bonecrusher, how he's got these nice little just purple strips here, which I do really like because it sort of helps make this side match this side a little bit better, because the Hasbro rendition, we've got purple treads here, bright green treads here, and it's kind of I mean, it's not bad, but I wasn't too keen on the look. But here I really like how you've got purple on both sides, and that kind of ties it together much better. Up here you can see the shoulder is missing that silver detail, but I actually kind of like it like that because it's, you know, it's a shoulder. It doesn't need to be super flashy. Down here in the fist you can see a little bit more detail, and also this Devastator has purple hands, which is a little bit more accurate to the G1 toy. I mean, I'm probably going to end up getting an upgrade kit myself anyway, just because I love this guy so much that I want to, you know, I'm okay with spending a little bit more money to further enhance the figure. But, you know, these hands are nice for what they are, and they've got some really nice detail on them. Another issue that I've seen with previous versions, with the Hasbro version, is that these wrists are super tight. Here, they're tight-ish, they're secure, but they're not like, you know, scary tight. I can turn them like this while it's still attached and not worry about anything popping off. I will say though, this arm, for some reason, it's a little bit of wiggle to it. It's not like, it's not going to pop out. It's in there good. It's just, there's a bit of wiggle room to it, which is, it's fine. It's like, it's so minimal that you don't really notice while you're posing him, but it's just a little weird, a little distracting. And moving on to the other arm, same deal here. This one holds in a lot better though. This one, there's no wiggle. Now, one complaint that I've seen from a couple of different reviews with Devastator is he can't hold his gun. And they did manage to fix that with this release. You know, so he's got his gun. There we go. After some vigorous wiggling, it finally popped out. But once you put it in there, it's in there good. It's not gonna just fall out. I have a slightly different issue in that the elbow here is a little bit loose. I mean, there are some points where, like, some small detents in there where if you get it past a certain point, it's not going to pop back down easily, but it's a little on the floppy side. Not a huge deal, but it is what it is. And let's see, coming down here, it's a lot of the same details here. It's nice that the red lights that were picked out on long haul also show up here. And then you can also see down here that little strip that used to be purple, still green, which I think kind of helps with the whole look a little bit better. And there's the skirt and pelvis area, which as far as I know is the same. All the legs are the same. Here you've got the green part of the funnel, which looks pretty good. And he's still got the weirdly tiny foot, but it's okay. Now, one of the other issues I've seen with the Hasbro Devastator is when you use the ankle tilts on Mixmaster, the bucket will sometimes pop out. And it does still do that here sometimes. It doesn't happen, like, if you're gentle with it, it doesn't really happen, but it can. It's not a huge problem. And also you can kind of see he's got the purple fuel canisters that used to be silver, which in this mode I'm kind of ambivalent to it. It doesn't really matter to me. Now here is where things, this is what I was talking about with the scrapper. This cab in vehicle mode and robot mode is turned this way, and it's got the Decepticon logo here, you know, oriented normally. But you need to flip it around for combination because it helps to lock these parts of the leg in place. And then you end up with an upside down Decepticon logo. And that kind of bugged me, just looking at the pictures. But here, since it's in the bucket, which is now his foot, it actually looks just fine. You know, it's actually a pretty nice way of doing it, because now you've got one there, one there. It's got matching toes, matching Deceptitoes. And of course, when viewing him, whoop, pop this head up. When viewing him from the side, you get those nice silver wheels. Now the guns for the individual Constructicons do actually store. They store on his back. They just kind of peg into these peg holes here in Long Haul's dump truck bucket place. This is normally where the missile racks would go in vehicle mode. And the guns are designed so that they actually peg together into this big mass, which it kind of sort of hides the big gaps in his bed, but not really. But it's Devastator. You're not going to be looking at him from behind that much. But I do really like and appreciate that they have storage for the individual guns, just to get them out of the way. And let's see. Another kind of issue, complaint, concern that people have had is Scrapper's bucket here, because, you know, he's putting an awful lot of weight onto this one area here that just clips in. But so far, it clips in really solidly. I haven't had any kind of issues with it. I've just been a little bit, you know, I've tried to be a little bit delicate when clicking it in and clicking it out just to make sure, but I've not had any issues with it. And he's on there pretty good. It's not going to just pop out unless you put a tremendous amount of pressure on it, I would think. He's got a nice solid stance between his Scrapper heels, which are, again, even though there are elbows in here now, they click into place really tightly, so they're not going anywhere. And of course, he's got the weird little flip out heel from Mixmaster here. So he's got a really solid stance. And he's surprisingly posable. I mean, he's no more or less posable than the Hasbro version, but he's really cool. One last thing to touch on is some people have been concerned with Devastator's plastic, and granted, I've never held the Hasbro version in my hands, but I've held this one a lot. And from what I've seen, the plastic, it does feel a little bit thinner than, say, other Combiner Wars figures. Just a little. But it doesn't feel cheaper. He's gappy, he's got slightly thinner plastic, but it makes sense because he is so massive. In fact, I should do this just to make sure. I'm going to bring back our deluxe from earlier. So you can see he is a very, very big guy. And because he's so massive, if he were heavy, then he would collapse under his own weight. I mean, Scrapper is solid, but if he weighed significantly more, like if you're made out of much thicker plastic and had fewer gaps, there'd be some serious issues. There'd be some serious posing issues. There'd be structural issues. But because he's made of this lighter, but still fine plastic, because of that, he's much lighter. Like, I can easily pick him up with one hand, and it's not really a strain. I mean, he's weighty. He's not light. But he's nowhere near as heavy as he would have been if they made him out of slightly thicker plastic or filled in some of those gaps. And honestly, it not only doesn't bother me, but I think this was the right call. Because if he were any heavier, he would have some pretty serious issues. Like, they'd need much tighter ratchets to try and keep his arms up. Not even ratchets, just friction joints. They'd need much tighter joints for his arms, and it would drive up the price. And there's just so many ways that this could have gone horribly wrong, but I think it actually turned out really, really nice. Again, just speaking from the perspective of the Unite Warriors Devastator, because I don't own Combiner Wars. Anyway, that is my look at Takara's Unite Warriors Devastator. If you'd like to get your own, you can follow the link that I'll put in the description down there. And he costs more than Combiner Wars, but I think he was definitely worth it. Just the added paint, the slight fixes, like the minor tweaks here and there. It's a really nice set. And oh, I almost forgot. One last thing. Some people had issues with this arm. Sorry about that. My camera decided it was just full, so had to clear up some space to start recording again. Anyway, getting back to this arm. This used to be an issue with it popping out if you tapped it too hard or just in the process of trying to pose him. So with the Hasbro version, this was a very weak connection. Here, it is actually a very strong connection. It's easy to actually pop out intentionally, but it's very difficult to actually like I can't knock that out of place. It does not want to go. Maybe if I hold this and there we go. That smacking it really hard finally got it. So yeah, that is a much, much stronger connection. Not anything that you need to worry about if you're looking into getting this version of Devastator for yourself. So anyway, everybody, that wraps it up. Behold Unite Warriors Devastator in all his glory. If you'd like to get your own, there's a link down in the description below. I managed to pick mine up at TF Source. And I'm super happy with him. I mean, you could probably tell, but he's very cool, and all of the issues that I was kind of worried about from the Hasbro version are not here. I mean, some of the obvious design like the design issues, like the gappiness and stuff, that's, you know, unless they completely redesigned it, that wasn't going to be fixed. But like just the paint details, great. Everything else, it's just great. So that's about it. Thank you everybody for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.